Okay guys, go ahead and open your reading textbook up to page 438. But before we begin reading, you do have some vocabulary. We're gonna do the same thing that we did on Monday, where I am going to write your list of vocabulary words and then you will define them on your own. So you're gonna use your glossary to define these words that I'm about to give you. Let me see, what number are we starting at? We're starting at number 14. I'm going to write the words on the board. Then you're going to pause this video and you are going to use the glossary to define them. So you'll just add them to the list of words we've already done, the words that you looked up on the glossary on Monday, the words that I gave you the definition for on Tuesday, and now you're going to add these today. So number 14 is the word intelligent. I-N-T-E-L-L-I-G-E-N-T. Intelligent. Number 15. Impressive. Not impressive, but impressive. I-M-P-R-E-S-S-I-V-E. Number 16. Demonstrated. Demonstrated. D-E-M-O-N-S-T-R-A-T-E-D. Number 17. Exposure. Exposure. E-X-P-O-S-U-R-E. And then the last one, number 18, phrases. P-H-R-A-S-E-S. Phrases. Remember, you need the part of speech and the definition. You do not need to mark the syllables. You do not need to write the pronunciation key. You do not need to write the sentence with the word in context. However, you do need to read all of these and all of those and recognize them. But when you're writing, you're only going to write the part of speech with the form, if it's in past tense or plural or whatever, and the definition. So pause this video and go do that right now. Do not continue this video until you have finished those definitions. Okay, now that you're done with the definitions, let's go ahead and read today's story. First, let's look at the bookmark and see what the genre is and the text feature that we're going to learn about today. The genre is a news story. News stories give up-to-date information about world events. And the text feature, so what we're going to be talking about and what you're going to be using to do your independent practice, is a line graph. And line graphs show changes over time. Let's go ahead and read. Read along with me while I read out loud. Dog amazes scientists. Rico, the border collie, has a knack for learning words. By Kim Christopher. We know this is a news story. That means it is non-fiction, which means it is real. It actually happened. It is not made up. Germany. A border collie named Rico is amazing scientists with his knowledge of human language. Rico recognizes at least 200 words and quickly learns and remembers even more. Rico began his training when he was 10 months old. His owner, Suzanne Baus, put toys in different places and had Rico fetch them by name. She rewarded Rico with food or by playing with him. Rico continued to learn more and more new words. Scientists first noticed Rico when he showed off his talent on a popular German game show. Border collies are intelligent, medium-sized dogs that have a lot of energy and are easily trained. They like to stay busy and they like to please their owners. All of this, that paragraph right there, helps us to draw the conclusion that border collies are a good pet if you want to teach them tricks. Even though 9-year-old Rico knows 200 words, he doesn't know as many words as even the average 2-year-old person does. Human 9-year-olds know thousands and thousands of words, and they learn about 10 new words a day. Still, Rico's ability to find objects by name is so impressive that scientists wanted to study him. So what they're saying here is that this dog knows a lot of words. Now, he can't speak them, but if you say the word, he'll know what you're talking about. So if you set all his toys around the house and you tell him, go find the yellow ball, he'll find the yellow ball, and he'll leave the stuffed animal toys, the rope toys, the balls that are different colors, and he will bring back the yellow ball. Now, let's look at this line graph on the bottom of page 439. I have a larger version posted up on the board. That way, when I'm pointing things out, you know exactly what to look at. You can look at the one in your book, but if you're not sure what I'm talking about, look at where I'm pointing up on the board, and then you can look in the same place on your book. So, this line graph shows how many words a child understands at different ages. So, we know that because we see the title. Now, normally a line graph may not have this type of explanation. So if we want to know what the line graph is telling us, we have to look at the title, which in this case is the number of words a child understands. Now, what we have on the left is the age in years. So this is a child who has just been born, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And then at the bottom, we see the number of words known. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your 2 fingers, you're going to put your 1 finger on a year, and then 1 finger on a number, and then we're going to come up until they meet. So they don't quite meet, but a 1-year-old, what we can do is we can go over to the 1-year-old and then stop where the long line that goes across and the line for a 1-year-old meets, and then we can go down. So a 1-year-old knows about 200 words. I'll show you what I mean with marker. So I'm going to move my finger across the 1-year-old line until I get to my long line that graphs the information. And I'm going to put a point. Then I'm going to go down to the number of words, and I see that it ends just before 200. That means a 1-year-old human knows just under 200 words. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with 2. I'm going to move my finger, which in this case is my marker, until I meet this long line and put a plot. Then, I'm going to go down, and I see that a human 2-year-old knows just between 200 and 400 words. It's about halfway, so a human 2-year-old knows about 300 words. The average. Now, that's not every 2-year-old, but the average 2-year-old. Now I'm going to do the same thing for a 3-year-old. I'm going to start my finger on the line for 3 years old. I'm going to keep going until I meet that long line. And then I'm going to go straight down to see about how many words it is. Again, we're between 600 and 800. So the average human 3-year-old knows about 700 words. Now let's do the same thing for 4-year-olds. Move your finger across the 4-year-old line until you meet the long line, and then go down until you figure out how many words. So the average human 4-year-old knows about 1,600 words. And let's do the same thing for 5. We're going to take our finger and move it across the 5-year-old line until we meet that long line graph. And then we're going to follow it down until we get to a number, and we see that an average human 5-year-old knows about 2,800 words. So not only does this graph tell us how many words an average child knows at a certain age, it also shows how much they learn between certain years. So at 1, the average child knows about, maybe we'll say like 150 words. And then at 2, they know about 300 words. That's only 150 words that they've learned between age 1 and 2. Now if we do the same thing between ages 2 and 3, well at age 2 they know 300, and at age 3 they know 700. 700 minus 300 is 400. So in that first year, they've learned, from 0 to 1, they learned 150 words, because we're going from 0 to 150. Between age 1 and 2, they learned the same number of words. But then between 2 and 3, they doubled and more the number of words they learned. Now, between 3, they know 700 words at age 3, 1,600 at age 4. So let's see, 1,600 minus 700, 0 minus 0, 0, 0 minus 0, 0. Can't do 6 minus 7, so we're going to take 1 away from the thousands place, give it to the hundredths place. 16 minus 7 is 9, so that means they've gone up to learning 900 words between age 3 and 4. Now, let's see how many words they learned between 4 and 5. Well, at age 4, they know 160, and at age 5, they know 2,800. So 2,800 minus 1,600, 0 minus 0, 0, 0 minus 0, 0, 8 minus 6 is 2. Bring down our comma. 2 minus 1 is 1. So then they go from learning 150 words a year, and they stay the same. Then they go to learning 400 words a year. Then they go to learning 900 new words a year, all the way up to 1,200 new words a year. So this chart also shows us that the older a child gets, the more words they learn in 1 year. That means their intelligence is going up, and their brains and their brain development is going up as well. So we also learned from this passage that Rico is 9 years old and knows 200 words. Now, while that is a lot of words for a dog to know, we know that a human 2-year-old already knows more than the number of words Rico knows. But that's because dogs and humans develop differently and their brains work very differently. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the page, and let's read on page 440. Scientists learn a lot about Rico as they watched him fetch familiar toys by name. Then, Rico demonstrated something amazing. He showed scientists that he could pick out toys he had never seen before by name. Scientists put some familiar toys in a room. They added a new toy. Rico's owner asked him to fetch the new toy. Most of the times in these tests, Rico picked out the right toy. Scientists think that Rico connects new words to new things. Since Rico already knows the names of old toys, he knows he should pick out a new toy when he hears a new word. So that means he knows the names of old toys. So if he hears a brand new word, he's not going to go to the toys that he already knows those words. He already knows what those look like. He's going to find something new, because even though he may not know the words pink hippopotamus, he knows that all his other toys have names, and all of a sudden he's coming upon this new toy that he's never seen before, so that's probably the pink hippopotamus. Rico can also remember the name of a new toy after just one exposure or experience with that toy. This shows scientists that even though animals are unable to talk, they can understand words. Rico's vocabulary seems to be as large of that as animals that have been trained in language. Those animals include apes, sea lions, dolphins, and parrots. Now, if you have a pet, you already know that your pet understands certain words. They usually understand their names. They understand go for a walk. They understand eat or food. You can tell by their reaction. They understand go outside. They understand all of those things just because we say it so much and we've done it after they know what to expect. But the difference is they don't normally know that many words. Rico, however, knows 200. So he doesn't just know the 10 or 11 or maybe 20 phrases that your dog or cat knows. This dog knows 200. Most dog owners will tell you that their pets are very smart. But just how smart is Rico? Is he an outstanding dog in a breed known to be very intelligent? Or is Rico a dog genius? Scientists are now studying Rico to learn more. They want to know if Rico can understand phrases such as put the toy in the box. Remember, a phrase is not just one word, it's a group of words. Rico's owner thinks that he can. The answers to questions about Rico's intelligence are still to come. The outcome of the study will be interesting to both scientists and dog owners all over the world. Excuse me. So right now I want you to draw a conclusion. Now we don't know the answer because the author has not told us, but I want you to think. Based on the information given, now this is going to be your thoughts, not mine, so I'm not going to give you the answer because this is your thoughts. Draw a conclusion. Based on what you've read about Rico and all the clues you've read, is he going to be able to learn phrases? That's a conclusion that I want you to come to, and I want you to write it underneath your last vocabulary word. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you have some independent practice. Go ahead and get out your packet for today, Thursday, April 30th. Open it past the math anchor chart and look at the sheet about reading a line graph. So you have some helpful information, directions, a line graph, and then questions. What you're going to do is you're going to read the helpful information, look at the directions, and then you'll answer these questions based on this line graph. You do not have to write in complete sentences because you don't have room, but do make sure that your answers make sense and fit the question. After you answer, make sure you reread the question and your answer to make sure it makes sense. All of these questions can be answered by looking at this line graph. You will not have to look back at the book to answer the questions. So that is your independent practice. Go ahead and start working on that right now. Make sure you have all of these definitions, otherwise your quiz tomorrow, you might see some surprises when it comes to vocabulary. This is the last video for reading this week. Because tomorrow you have your comprehension and vocabulary quiz. Remember the vocabulary tonight. What you need to do is you need to look over tonight or tomorrow morning, whenever, you need to look over all of your vocabulary from this chapter, Man's Best Friend. You also need to look over your notes on possessive pronouns. There might be something else I can't remember off the top of my head. But on your packet for tomorrow, it tells you exactly which English notes to look at. Possessive pronouns, and there might be one other thing. There might just be possessive pronouns. I can't quite remember. So make sure you do that. Make sure you're ready. Remember, the comprehension part is from a brand new passage that you've never read before, so you don't need to reread Dear Mrs. LaRue. However, make sure you understand drawing conclusions. Make sure you understand the vocabulary and the English that we have done this week. Okay, go ahead and complete the independent practice, and then that's it. You have a reading log for homework tonight.